Welcome back to Impact Insights, the video series. This is our second episode, and today we're going to dive into what the heck a recruiter actually does, how you can work with them to hopefully land that amazing job you've been dreaming about. But before we get started into all of that, let's do some introductions. I, of course, am your humble host, Katie McAllister, social media and content manager at Impact Recruitment. I'm very excited to welcome Kristina Lee, Director of Impact's IT Division, to our little virtual stage here. So, Kristina, you and I have spoken about this a couple times. I think it's a really good place to start this conversation. So, from your experience, how do people tend to react when they learn that someone's a recruiter?
You know what? That's actually a great question. But first off, Katie, thank you for welcoming to your virtual stage. We're just in different rooms of the same stage, so that's always fun.
Doesn't look even close to the same. Like,
okay, we're together in spirit.
together. Exactly.
But to answer your question about, how do people react? It's always a bit of a mixed reaction. So I've had good reactions, bad reactions. Sometimes people just look at me with a blank stare, like, what? What did you say? But some memorables would be the best one that I've had would probably like, oh, I know what a recruiter does. I've worked with one and they helped me get my dream job. On the not so good side, I've had people say, oh, you're a recruiter. The people that, never respond to my emails or my job applications, or the person that sends me all the wrong jobs. In that case, it's like, oh, okay, sounds like you haven't had a good experience. But there are other ones as well where people are like, you're a recruiter. What is that? What do you do? And then I get to delve into what a recruiter does a bit more. And the most interesting fact that I've come across is sometimes people think it costs money to work with a recruiter. If time is money, in which case that would be true, but it actually doesn't cost you money to work with a recruiter. And when people learn that, it's usually like, oh, okay, tell me more. Tell me what a recruiter does. How do I work with one?
Now I'm listening. Yes, now that we know that recruitment is a little more complex than people do tend to believe, do you think maybe you could just give everyone a quick rundown on how they can best work with a recruiter on their job search?
Well, I can honestly try, but because there's so many definitions, I would say working with a recruiter, especially on your job search, it's kind of like the start of a new relationship. You get to know each other, you develop trust, and then you communicate on how to move forward. So it always starts with a connection, whether it's in person, phone, email, social media. LinkedIn is a very popular one these days, and it usually results in a meeting where questions are asked back and forth. So if I had to describe the actual process, a recruiter and job seeker would connect. They would then set up a meeting to go over their situation, their qualifications, and their wants. And then again, next steps on how to move forward. That could be getting presented to one of our clients right away on an open opportunity, or it could be a more passive search so that we can keep an eye out for them on what's happening in the market.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think that does clear it up a little. I know that people sometimes expect it to happen just like that. And like you said to me before, it does, but sometimes it can take a little longer to find that perfect fit.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes time, and it all depends on, how that relationship is built and what expectations have been set. So if you're saying I'm looking for something right away, then it could happen faster. If you're saying, I'm happy where I am, this is where I want to be at the next stage of my career, then we keep an eye out. Could happen in 2 months, could happen in 2 years. There's a constant timeline that's moving there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that that's a big part of it, as you mentioned, the it being a continual, like a long-term relationship, which is something that we say all the time. But it really is. When you look at the facts, it really can be a good long-term relationship where you get to know that person's short-term and long-term goals and can help them reach those, which is awesome.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, okay, awesome. It's 2021. A lot of us have been working remotely. We live on our phones, on our computers, for a lot of the day. So most people, I would say, are pretty comfortable looking for a job using sites like Indeed or even LinkedIn and Facebook in some cases. So is there a particular reason or particular reasons why someone would connect with a recruiter rather than just doing their own thing?
Yeah, I would like to say personally, I'm fairly comfortable with technology. So it's the first go-to when someone is looking for a job. They'll do their research. That's where they'll find their job postings, and mobile apps have made it so easy to do so. But working with a recruiter definitely has its benefits, not just because I'm in this industry and, we all need our jobs, but there are certain perks to it. So the first one, I think is probably the biggest one, is that the recruiters are an additional resource to your job search. This means in addition to what you see online, they are an additional resource. So don't just work with a recruiter, have multiple ways to find your job, but it's an additional resource. Plus, because recruiters are, every day talking to candidates, talking to clients, and finding out about open jobs, they have a really good pulse on the market of what, salaries should be, benefits, or what types of companies are growing in the direction that you want. So additional resource as well as a great source of information. Recruiters also have access to what people call the hidden job market. And this term has many meanings, but it's basically roles that just aren't open to the public. We work really closely with some of our clients, so sometimes the roles aren't posted, and we're asked to help them fill this role, or it could even be an exclusive role. So there's opportunities that you won't find anywhere on the internet that a recruiter could represent you for. Other reasons, interview and coaching prep, as well as, I guess, offer negotiation. So when you work with a recruiter, they prepare you for your interviews, they give you feedback afterwards. They, because they've been working with these clients for a while, they might know how the interview will go. So prepare for it to be an hour. Make sure you have questions, and they'll make sure you have the questions, so that you can represent yourself in the best light possible. And I guess another reason would be, this person is going to be someone to bounce ideas off of. And anything job search, you can bounce any idea. We are used to these questions. And they're also going to be your personal cheerleader. Right? So it's like a best friend when it comes to job search. At least that's what I like to think it is. Yeah.
I I think that's first of all adorable. Second, hidden job market sounds way cooler than like it turns out it's just like exclusive job opportunities. I was like, hidden job market, where can I find it? It's
No,
like
this
you
hidden kingdom.
right? Trap
Yeah.
door. But no, that's super exciting. And I think what you touched on too about interview tips and, really being able to speak to somebody who can tell you how it is because they know what's going on in the market. I know personally, before I was in this role, I did speak with several recruiters and I had well, they were at Impact, so I guess I'm biased, but I had such a good experience. I came out of it with way more confidence and just really feeling like I knew what I was worth, whereas before, I didn't even know what kind of salary I should be asking for. Oh, I get benefits? Amazing. I was fresh out of university, and being able to speak to someone who was able to really put it in perspective for me made me feel a lot better about going into that interview and being like, I got this. So
Well, I'm glad you had a positive experience with a recruiter and that you now work at Impact Recruitment. So
that's how much
that's,
I loved it, I guess. I just
yeah,
joined the
you're now
industry.
you're now our cheerleader to the
I
football.
absolutely. People do ask, how long it's going to take, as we spoke about earlier. Seems like people always want a timeline. They're always wondering. So it's going to be, I connect with you, then a week later this happens. And I guess just do you have any pearls of wisdom for them on how they can make the process go a little bit quicker if they are quite actively looking for a role?
Okay. Um, if you are quite actively looking for a role and you're looking for something, in the near future and not the far off future, I would say first off, keep your mind open when you are working with a recruiter. Set your expectations very clearly and communicate that you are looking for an immediate change and it's not a passive search. So that way the recruiter would know the urgency of the situation, and be clear with what you really, really want, and what are more so negotiables. So if an 2-hour commute is a big no-no, say that, so that we kind of draw a boundary along, okay, if the company is on this side, it's okay. If the company is on that side, it's just too far. But if you're able to flex on certain things like being able to work from home or having a cell phone allowance, which is not too common all the time, then we know what we can work with. So keep an open mind, be clear on what your expectations are, communicate what your needs and wants, and make sure we're on the same page when it comes to the urgency. But the last pearl of wisdom is that when you're looking for a job, it's not the same as making a purchase. It's, I would say, if it is a purchase, it's a big purchase, kind of like you're looking for a house. You have to, go to a few open houses, take a look at different postings, look at different locations, because maybe you don't need the walk-in closet, you want one, and can you get your dream house without it? So there's a lot of things to consider. Keep an open mind and just keep talking, keep communicating.
That was the best analogy I've ever heard. My sister bought a house last year, well, a condo, and it was exactly like that. And it's like, it's a big deal when you decide like it's the one. And she said the exact same thing. She was like, I love my place. I love my apartment. I didn't get everything I wanted, but it's like perfect for me. And I think that's it, right? You know where you can negotiate and when you can't.
Yeah,
So yeah. You know you better than you know anyone. The more recruiters know about you, the better that we can help.
that's a great way of summarizing it. But yeah, so keep communicating, take a look at what your options are. And sometimes you might not find that dream house or dream job right away, but it takes time. And when it happens, it happens. And I hope they'll be happy they would have worked with us.
That's perfect. This was so great, honestly. I uh I feel like we just have these conversations. I forget that this is even like this is for a reason. It's not just a nice conversation with the amazing Christina Lee. But unfortunately, all good things do come to an end. So it looks like we are just about out of time here. So I do really want to thank you, Christina, for being our guest today and sharing all your knowledge and answering some really important questions that will hopefully help guide some people out there on their job search. So we will see everybody next time for episode 3 of Impact Insights, the video series.
Thank you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.